before anybody asks in the comments, no, I'm not wearing the same thing twice. This is one of those days where y'all are just getting a twofer. Because something come across my... Oh, a crane down there in the water hole. Or in the storm drain, rather. Something came across my news feeds that I thought would be kind of a good subject, a good topic. The whole political thing is being blown way out of proportion. I talk politics with people when things make sense to me. And I talk them when they don't, because I try to understand everybody's point of view. Why everybody thinks and feels the way they do. One thing I just don't get, though, don't understand it at all, is how you can go right. Well, let me tell the story first. The story I read was the Emery University students are now feeling offended and threatened because somebody dared write Trump 2016 in chalk on the pavement outside their buildings and dorms and whatever. And they went to the dean and the president of the university complaining about it, and supposedly they're actually looking into who put that stuff there, and the people that are crying about it are trying to push for it being a hate crime. I had to read that twice. And they're justifying that it's a hate crime because they say Donald Trump is a bigot and a racist and just on and on and on. All right. Before I get into this, let me say one thing right now. I'm not in support of Donald Trump in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Because that's my personal choice not to be. That being said, I don't oppose him running. He's got every right in the world to run and have whatever views he wants to have. Evidently somebody likes it because he's still leading the pack out of all of them. The guy that I wanted to run couldn't show enough fire fast enough. Didn't show people that he was excited enough fast enough, and he wound up getting to a point where the only realization he had was it was time to quit. I actually liked Ben Carson because the guy had some brains. Keep in mind, and this is just evening out the playing field or getting all their credentials out in the open. The only people that have had any government experience whatsoever are Carson, Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders. Both of them have been senators and Secretary of State. Well, Hillary has anyway. That was another mess. That's another reason I'd never vote for her, because of that mess. And you guys can disagree with me all you like. It's not going to change my opinion if you do, but you're free to disagree with me. This is a free country. You can say what you like without having to worry about what somebody's going to do to you because of it. I'm not blocking anybody because they don't like who I'm voting for. Even on my Facebook, people are free to open up a line of discussion and say whatever they like regarding the politics and all. I'm not going to block them because they actually like Hillary or Bernie Sanders or anybody that I don't. That'd be kind of stupid on my part. I actually like it when people present their case as to why they like or don't like certain people politically. And I tend not to listen to the griping and bickering about just everyday people. Oh, my back glass is nasty. Anyway, these kids have gone to the dean and president of Emery University in Atlanta, telling him this mess that they're offended by the Trump 2016 on the that's chalked on the pavement. Now, it's not there permanently. It's not something that's got to be scraped off or washed off. It's chalk. One good rainfall comes and it's gone. Now, they weren't offended when a few weeks or however long ago it was now, somebody chalked the Black Lives Matter support all over everything. Nothing was said about that. They weren't offended when just a very short while back, Hillary Clinton 2016 and Bernie Sanders 2016 was chalked all over everything. It's only when you got a difference of opinion. How dare they put Trump up there when there's this small handful of people there that actually like Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. So, and supposedly from what I understood with some of the stuff I was reading, it's only a very small handful of people that are offended by all this. I'm sitting there looking at I'm trying to keep the wipers off as much as possible. It's not raining right now, but I do have to still see. Never mind the fact that there's probably 3,000 to 5,000 people on campus at any given time, and maybe 40 or 60 are offended by all this. It doesn't matter that they're in the minority. Now, they're not minorities because it's a mixed bag of different cultures that are supposedly offended. Basically, they're bandwagoning, like I've said right along, about everything and everybody else. The people with the Confederate flag, most of them don't even understand what most of that was even all about. They're thinking that they're the kind of people that thinks the Civil War was still just about slavery. And that wasn't even remotely it. That was a byproduct, I'll admit. That was one of the things that was kind of included in all that mess, but that wasn't the reason for the Civil War. guarantee you one thing. All this whining and crying keeps going on. There's going to be another civil war. And it's not going to be pretty. I don't understand how 40 or 60 people on a campus of 2,000 or 3,000 can actually get the dean and the president of the university starting an investigation, looking at all the. Now, of course, they may have just been telling them this to appease them. There's not really much they can do. It's freedom of speech. Because the one guy was talking about how the dean had said that they were going to start disciplinary action once they figured out who was responsible. Here's the thing. Here's an area they don't want to get into. The freedom of speech is a constitutionally protected right. It don't matter what the state laws say. That's national law. So they can say you can't say this or express this on campus all they like. Unless they want their school to lose all of its federal funding, which would pretty well bankrupt the school almost instantly. They need to just make these little crybabies believe they're doing something and let it rest. I don't know when we became a country of the most offended, biggest crybaby, squalling and bawling is the one that gets the attention and gets the action. But I'm hoping that with the changing of the guard and the new president coming in, because it's going to be a new president, it may be Donald Trump. Now, if it comes down to it and it's me voting for Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, I can guarantee you it's not going to be a very popular response. It's not going to be the way a lot of these liberal-minded people would expect me to vote. Because if it comes down to Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, I'll be a Trumper. I'd rather see anybody. And I'm not against her because she's a woman. I think it'd be pretty cool if we had a woman president. If we had a black president, now a woman. It'd be nice. But not that woman. The reason I'm against her as I am is because of the whole Benghazi thing. Because of the whole email scandal thing. You can't be okay part of the time with national secrets and other people's lives. If you're going to do something, you're going to do a job like what she was charged with. I'm not meaning charged like she's fixing to get arrested. I mean, she was set out to be the Secretary of State. She failed miserably. She more than failed. She committed crimes doing what she was doing. The stuff with the email server, her her own personal server having national secrets, and they have determined actually now that there were national secrets, supposed to be secure emails that were on her server. They verified it more than once now. Even though she stood up in Congress and lied her butt off and said, oh no, there was no secure emails on that server. Those were all personal. Wrong. And from what I've read and heard, is wrong many times over. She had all of her email forwarded to her own personal server, and it was her lying and saying that there wasn't any secure emails involved is why her IT person that she had go to court with her would say nothing more than I plead the fifth. That's the reason. It wasn't just to showboat and be obstinate. It was because she didn't want him up there saying, oh yeah, well, she told me to do it, or she paid me to do it. But this bit of people getting offended at every little thing is ridiculous. I mean, it makes me want to go every time I see one of these people, and I know what to blame. I know who to blame. You blame the timeout moms and the parents that all think that every kid should get a trophy at the end of the baseball season. No. Life's not about participation trophies and timeouts. You gotta teach these kids that there's consequences for everything they do. And sometimes everything they say. Yeah, it's a free country. You can say whatever the heck you want. But that don't mean that there's not going to be some consequences for what you say. Same way with your actions. The problem is none of these kids coming up nowadays have had to feel any consequences because their mom puts them in timeout, which just gives them more time to sit there and think up evil things to do or bratty things to do. I mean, whoever came up with timeout, and don't get me wrong, I know it does work for some people. Some people's kids turn out perfectly fine. And for those people, good on you. That's the way, if that's what works for you, stick with it, go with it. But what tears me up is these people that say, well, it worked for me with my kids, so it should work with you with yours too. No. Kids are just as much individuals as parents are. I really wish that we could just find the magic button and push the dang thing to where people would stop coming up and jumping on every single bandwagon. Like the Confederate flag thing. And that to me is just humorous beyond belief. On one little part of it is. Nobody at all, except NAACP, was offended by the Confederate flag until they found a picture of that little dumb idiot that shot up the church in North Carolina kind of picture with him holding the rebel flag. Now, I'll give you guys one thing, the people that are against it. It did turn out to be a symbol of racism and hatred, because the KKK adapted that as their symbol, their flag. That flag never, ever meant anything about racism or hatred or anything else before it started, or before KKK started with it. And it didn't really mean hatred with the KKK either. Most of them people are sons of the Confederate also. But they won't let you know they're KKK. That's why they have the hoods. Hides their identity. Allows them to hate and be hateful and still maintain their anonymity. I get that. I don't think it's right, but I get that. If I'm going to hate somebody, I'm going to hate you right out in the open. But I'll tell you this, I don't hate anybody. Because hate takes a lot of energy. And I don't feel like donating a lot of my energy to people that I really don't like. Plain and simple. Like you, why in the heck am I going to keep thinking about you or encouraging you to be ugly to me to where I hate you that much more? If I don't like you, I'll just stay the heck away from you, plain and simple. Not a problem. So if I'm ever somewhere and I either start acting kind of ugly to somebody, or I turn and just walk away, that's me giving up on being hateful to somebody. Or that's me giving up on hating. That's the way I do it. Jumping on the bandwagon every time somebody comes up with something they're offended by. 9 times out of 10, nobody cares if you're offended. Be offended with your mouth shut. Because I guarantee you, I'd get all kinds of hate, all kinds of shade, as they call it. By watching people say I'm offended by this or that, and me saying, well, I'm offended by you being offended. I'm tired of hearing it. Shut up. I'd never hear the end of that. Way she goes, I guess. Anyway, that's my little rant about that. You guys can feel free to discuss in the comments below. Oh, by the way, if you're new to the channel, maybe you'd like to see a little more, kind of encourage me a little bit to keep doing videos. There's this little red button right over here. If you push that, I'd be very grateful. And I look forward to seeing y'all's comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.